Us at Santee Cooper, for those who may or may not be familiar with our programs or really where we've come in the last 2 or 3 years, we wanted to kind of just give a little bit of a background. In 2009, our board of directors approved an energy efficiency blueprint, so to speak, that was designed to significantly reduce our customers' energy consumption. Back the fourth quarter of 2009, that program or that measure was branded as the Reduce Use program and directed to reach out to approximately all 160,000 of our retail customers. Where we are today, we're obviously three and a half years into the program, and each year annually we evaluate various measures and components of our program to determine what's effective from both a cost-effective standpoint and energy efficiency standpoint. And so with that, this past year in the fourth quarter, we identified a new measure, which is why we're here today, the heat pump water heater measure, to replace our existing standard storage water heater rebate that we really had problems with gaining traction with our customers, and so we looked at a new revamped offer, and that's why we've come to decide on this measure and really bring this today. As we've told a lot of our trade allies, both on whether they be insulation, weatherization, or HVAC contractors, a lot of times, with what we're doing and initiatives we're launching, we aren't at Santee Cooper necessarily this subject matter expert. So as much as we can align with the consultants and the staff that we have to help us with these programs, we try to extend that out to bring those with indeed the expertise, and that's why we have Josh Brown here with us today. He's a senior program associate at Fluid. He's been involved in various heat pump water heater field studies and market transformation programs for Bonneville Power Administration and the Northwest Energy Efficiency Alliance since 2011. And currently he works on NEEA's Smart Water Heater Initiative, managing the outreach and training to trade allies. So with that being said, I want to turn it over to Josh to cover our presentation, and we'll have time for questions at the end, or if we could filter those as they come up throughout the presentation, we can definitely answer those as well. So.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, like Grayson said, if you guys have any questions, I think currently we have your guys' line unmuted, so we'll kind of keep this free-flowing as long as there's not too much noise interference. So if any of you have questions during this presentation, just feel free and kind of jump in, and we'll try and address those as we move along. So like Grayson said, I currently work on a few different heat pump water heater programs, and today we'll be discussing some of the heat pump water heater technology benefits, go over the installation best practices, and all of those things listed there, and then the program requirements that Santee Cooper has outlined, along with the rebate form that they have and the quality assurance component that they have tied with their program. So the technology benefits, heat pump water heaters at their most basic are almost 2 times as efficient as ordinary electric water heaters. So heat pump water heaters work much like a refrigerator in reverse, so they pull in warmth from the ambient air in the space that they're installed in to heat the water. And typically a residential electric bill, the water heating component of that represents about 15 to 25% of a homeowner's electric bill. So by saving up to 50%, or by reducing those costs by up to 50%, there's quite a bit of substantial savings there, estimated at around $250 per year for an average homeowner with average use. So Santee Cooper has a rebate, and the offer is $400 for qualified Energy Star heat pump water heating units. And so how this fits into a payback example, you can see here on the left side there is the standard electric water heaters. And over the course of 10-year, you can see that the life cycle costs would be close to $4,000. Whereas with a heat pump water heater, the upfront cost is a little bit more, but with the Santee Cooper rebate and a federal tax credit that is currently available, the overall 10-year cost of that heat pump water heater would be quite a bit less than what a standard electric water heater would cost. The installation costs are not included on this example, as they will likely remain constant in non-ducted applications, which is a requirement that we'll cover later on in this presentation. So there are some installation best practices that we have identified through various programs that we've been involved in. Santee Cooper only provides rebates for heat pump water heaters in unconditioned spaces, such as the one that's shown here in this image. Heat pump water heaters, for the most part, depending upon manufacturer, of course, but they require at least 1,000 cubic feet of ambient air in the space that they're installed in. So that is quite a bit of space that is required, but this allows for proper airflow and maintenance of the heat pump water heater. Heat pump water heaters are slightly larger than their counterparts that are their standard electric counterparts, so they do require a little bit more space around the unit as well. Manufacturers, like I mentioned, do have different requirements for their unit, so make sure and check with each of those requirements before installing. And just to hit a little bit back on this picture here, you can see that a space like this, a big garage, would meet that 1,000 cubic feet requirements. And the reason for that in this picture, even though the heat pump water heater is installed in kind of like a little small closet there, it is open to the overall space of the garage. If there was a door on that closet there, it would need to be louvered to allow for proper airflow to the heat pump water heater. Heat pump water heaters have some sizing guidelines outlined here. The numbers represented here are the first hour ratings associated with, like for instance, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home would require a first hour rating of 70 gallons. Some additional installation tips. Heat pump water heaters do generate a little bit of noise and can generate some vibration. So when installing a heat pump water heater in a space like a garage near a primary living area of a home or a sleeping area of a home, it's a good strategy to install some vibration or dampening mounts as needed. These help minimize those kind of unwanted byproducts of a heat pump water heater. When removing the condensate must be terminated into an existing drain. So some examples of an existing drain would be a floor drain, a washing machine drain, or even if there's a wash sink that is available, you can terminate the condensation into that. In some scenarios, you might need to use a condensate drain to remove the condensation. And if a drain is not available, it must be terminated outside the home itself. When installing a specific heat pump water heaters that have a unused duct attachment point, so certain brands of heat pump water heaters will have an exhaust port that would essentially be flush with the top portion of the heat pump water heater in an effort to prevent homeowners from stacking up items on top of that and limiting the airflow, the exhaust airflow of the heat pump water heater. It's good to install a duct attachment point. This is really only applicable in one specific manufacturer heat pump water heater. And as always, follow local building codes and permitting requirements. Heat pump water heaters also have some additional maintenance requirements that differs from a standard electric tank, the first and most obvious being the filter. All heat pump water heater manufacturers have different cleaning recommendations for the filter in reference to the time between cleanings. When installing a heat pump water heater in a garage that the homeowner has a wood shop in, it's a good practice to recommend to the homeowner to check the filter more frequently than what the manufacturer recommends because likely that filter will become clogged a lot quicker than just a garage that's used for parking cars in. Also, with heat pump water heaters, the condensate drain needs to be inspected, and if it is blocked or restricted, must be cleaned. So make sure that the homeowner understands where the condensate drain terminates at and how they can prevent any blockage or also clear out any blockage of that condensate drain. And then, as always, with standard electric tanks, there's some additional maintenance that is required. Those carry over to heat pump water heaters as well. Homeowner education is a big aspect of heat pump water heater installations. Most homeowners are not familiar with being able to interact with their water heater. All heat pump water heaters have a control panel on it, and they have different operating modes associated with the unit. So making sure the homeowner understands how to adjust these settings, what each of these settings means, and then also how to obviously adjust the temperature. Personally, my water heater is it's a gas tanked water heater, and it just has a dial on it that says cold and hot. So I don't really have any idea of what the actual temperature setting mine is set at. But with heat pump water heaters, the homeowner can dial it into a specific setting as they so choose. And then also making sure the homeowner understands that with increasing the temperature setting, that they're also increasing the risk of scalding hazard. And then leaving, of course, behind the manufacturer operation instructions with the homeowner, and then also the installer contact information on the unit is also a good practice. So I hinted a little bit about the different operating modes associated with heat pump water heaters. These are 4 common modes found across different manufacturers. The first being efficiency or economy. What this setting means is that it is only going to use the heat pump to heat the water. And this essentially will maximize the energy efficiency and savings. And it will do so at the cost of, or at the drawback to it is that the recovery might be a little bit slower depending upon the ambient air temperature in the space that it is installed in. And so by the next setting then is auto and hybrid. This is the setting that most manufacturers have defaulted on their units, and this will be the setting that you should leave it at when installing. It's ideal for daily use. It will use the internal logic of the heat pump water heater to choose how to heat the hot water, basically. So it will primarily first use the heat pump to heat the water, and then if there's a large enough hot water draw, it will then also use the electric elements that are installed on the heat pump water heater to keep up with the homeowner's demand. So this will actually help aid in a quicker recovery of the hot water, whereas the efficiency and economy mode won't be able to do that. It will strictly just use that heat pump to heat the water. Electric and heater mode is essentially just that. So it just turns off the heat pump itself, and it will only use the electric elements to heat the water. This is the least energy efficient operating mode, and it's really we'd like to see discouraged homeowner use of this mode. Some examples of when this would be a good mode would be if there's an issue with the heat pump functioning at all, and the homeowner is waiting on service of their heat pump. This is a really good option so that they can still receive and have hot water while they're waiting for that repair to be made. A fourth mode that is not as commonly found on all manufacturers' heat pump water heaters is the vacation and timer. This will allow a homeowner to save energy when away from home, so they can set this and program it for a certain period of time, and it will optimize the performance of the heat pump water heater to not run as frequently due to standby losses, and save a little bit more energy when they're not using it. But again, this is not available on all models. So there are some obviously requirements in participating with Santee Cooper and receiving the $400 rebate. So the home must be separately metered and receive electrical service from Santee Cooper. The home must be single-family construction or a unit in a multifamily building that has its own heating, cooling, and hot water systems separate from other units. The home must be at least 5 years old, and the home must be all electric, excluding hybrid heat pumps and gas fireplaces. Some additional measure requirements are that the heat pump water heater must be ENERGY STAR qualified. And if you would like to look up a list of ENERGY STAR qualified heat pump water heaters, there is a list available at energystar.gov. It must also be installed in a unconditioned attached space. So much like the image that we discussed earlier that I showed earlier, that would be a perfect suitable installation space. It also must be installed in accordance with the manufacturer specifications. So there are some requirements for participating trade allies, the first being carrying certain levels of insurance that are detailed here, as well as some workers' compensation requirements and general automotive liability insurance coverage. Santee Cooper must also receive a copy of the residential plumbing license and also a verify completion of a manufacturer's training. Certain manufacturers do not have requirements around manufacturer's training, so make sure and check with each of the heat pump water heater manufacturers that you're installing to verify whether or not you need to attend one before installing or not. So the rebate form is detailed here. It's fairly simple. Instructions are outlined at the top of this form, and then you must provide your trade ally information there and then the homeowner's information as well. The equipment can be outlined in this lower section here, and please include the serial number and the model number of the unit that you do install. This portion of the rebate form asks for a little bit more information regarding the installation location where the heat pump water heater is installed. And actually the important part here is to outline how much installation room size, or I guess the room size of the room where the unit was installed at, so we can verify the overall cubic feet of the space, and then the overall installation clearances that are associated with the installation as well. And then go through this installation checklist here on the bottom. Quality assurance installations will be performed and will ensure that the installation is in compliance with not only Santee Cooper's requirements for the rebate, but also the manufacturer specifications. Deviations will require remediation, and Santee Cooper, if you have any questions about that, they can answer questions about how that will look like. Non-compliance with installation requirements and or quality assurance inspections may result in suspension or permanent removal from participation. So that is the last, oh, sorry, one more slide, I lied. So we will invite contractors to attend the inspections. This will be done via phone and email. We'll provide you with the time and date and location of those inspections. During the QA inspection, Santee Cooper will be evaluating the data accuracy on the form, overall installation quality, and homeowner education as well. So before we end real quick, I wanted to provide, you know, I'm up here in the Northwest, and we've been running a few different rebate programs for various utilities here in the region. And we've seen some successes from contractors that I wanted to detail a little bit. So we've trained over about 300 contractors, and out of those 300, there are about 100 currently actively participating in installing heat pump water heaters and receiving rebates from utilities and our programs as well. And some of the differentiating factors between the more successful and active contractors to the ones that are not so active are actively promoting this technology during the bid process with customers. So when going into a home and bidding on work, most customers and consumers aren't necessarily going to be asking and requesting a heat pump water heater because they aren't familiar with the technology. So the contractors that have really learned how to promote this technology to customers, show the payback period, and kind of break those costs down, and overcoming the initial kind of sticker shock hurdle, and describing to a homeowner of how they overall, over the course of the life of their water heater, will save more money with a heat pump water heater. Those contractors have been really successful. Another aspect of that is possibly partnering with the utility or doing some direct mail on your own to customers to promote this technology. Contractors that have done that in our region have been experienced quite a spike in inquiries from potential customers. And the third thing I guess I would like to highlight would be educating the rest of your staff around this technology. So for those that couldn't attend today, and Grayson hinted at this a little bit, but we are recording this presentation, so we'll make that available to you, but making sure that the other contractors or people who interact with your customers are aware that you are participating in this program and can offer consumers or customers a $400 rebate from Santee Cooper. So when you do get those phone calls and people just asking about general questions about water heaters, they can also kind of be that first line of interaction with the potential customer. So that is all I have. Grayson, and is there anything else that you have, or we can open it up for questions now as well?
Yeah, I think we can open it up for questions. I didn't see any pop up on the be typed in, but I don't know if Amanda or Jill or Herman, if you're on that end, if there are any questions that have come up.
I'll go ahead and just pose the question. And one thing that I'd like to know is, do any of you already have any experience with these types of units? Have any of you, installed it, or are you familiar with it installed?
I'm sorry, I really weren't able to make that out. I don't know if you're far away from the phone receiver or
I've
not.
turned my back to the speaker. I'm sorry. We have several contractors in the room here with us, and 2 or 3 of them have had some experience in installing these. Based on what you've seen, do you have any immediate questions? Is there anything relative to the technology that you've got some questions about? Do you see any barriers in terms of, how it would maybe restrict or inhibit participation? It's already been mentioned, the whole sticker shock issue. But, if what was it, a $700 remediation, there's our rebate and the federal government rebate can help to offset a significant amount of that, putting the install or the purchase cost down in the realm of essentially standard installation. I've got a question. All right. If somebody will come out and inspect the paper, yeah, so that could qualify for this. We have to open it to get the rebate from you guys. You'll have to. The question was, will they have to pull a permit and have a local code inspection? And all of our programs require, whether it's this or heat pump installs or anything, that you comply with whatever the local code requirements is. So will that keep them from getting a rebate? Will they need a copy of the inspection form? The question is, will they need a copy of the inspection form, code inspector inspection form, in order to get the rebate?
So, Grayson, are you able to answer that one for them?
I'll have to follow up on that with them. That hasn't come up really for our rebate. The only thing we had really specified is an application, and now this heat pump water heater form, as well as a proof of purchase showing model and serial number, so we could verify with Energy Star. As Herman mentioned, complying with all local codes, that's standard across all of our installs, but that question hasn't come up, and that's...
Bobby has a question.
This is more like just the actual install of the heat pump water heaters. You said earlier that they can be installed in a closet with a louvered door. But if you have a louvered door and you calculate the free area on that, you're not going to be getting nowhere near the airflow you would if you didn't have that louvered door in place. And if it has to be in a 1,000 cubic foot area in order for the airflow, wouldn't that kind of cut your airflow in half, if not more?
Yeah, so with that requirement, I mean, I think, and Santee Cooper will probably defer to the manufacturer requirements around that. So certain manufacturers do specify in their installation specifications the room size requirements and whether the heat pump water heater can be installed in a smaller space as long as that space has a louvered door or not. So I think that deferring to the manufacturer is kind of what Santee Cooper, I think, would hope. Am I correct, Grayson?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
You'd want to protect the warranty coverage. You know, you wouldn't want to do anything in the install that would undermine somehow, you know, any relief to the customer, or you might have if there were any warranty issues.
Question on the rebate process.
Yes, sir.
Different power companies handle it differently. Santee Cooper going to rebate the contractor, and we'll take it off invoice, or is it going to rebate back to the homeowner? And who, obviously, we fill the form out, depending on risk, that we fill the form out using it as a homeowner, we then file the invoice, or we taking it and filing on their behalf, and then rebate comes.
It's a homeowner rebate. Grayson, did you get all that question?
I got the first part as far as which you would specified about the homeowner receiving the application or receiving the rebate, and on our application, which we'll post, and as you know, after this session, whether it's today or a week or two from now, depending upon who is indeed interested in signing up with our program, we'll go through and you'll have access to all our applications, which are available on the web. But essentially, the application, there's certain portions that the homeowner completes, and then there's one section. Really, this program is pretty straightforward. But when we get into calculated measures, we ask that the trade ally complete that section of the rebate application. But it's a one-page application, front and back, and really it's required that the homeowner sign it and the trade ally, which in this case would take probably, I would estimate less than 2 minutes to complete, as far as just selecting what is indeed and verifying that. But the homeowner is required to submit all of that, or if you have it all, either one, which would ever speed the process up. And with our energy advisors or anybody in the room, having a key point of contact, maybe just in your service territory where you're at, those can be sent to them as well, via fax or email, whichever is preferred or best for your business.
And Grayson, I'm reading the typed question in here too, and it seems like maybe the question also had a component where it was asking where the rebate could be paid to. So would the rebate go to the contractor, or would it go back to the homeowner, or is there an option there?
All of our rebates are paid back directly to the homeowner. We don't have any of our measures that are paid back to the contractor at this point.
Okay.
So that would just be something that would be communicated up front to the homeowner when they're weighing the option of maybe this technology over another, and along with like we brought up, the federal tax credits, and really communicating that to them. Typically, once we receive all of the information, whether it be the application, the water heater form, and verification of the model and serial number, our rebates are running anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks. A lot of times, during this season coming up, it's probably averages around 4. Since this is a pretty straightforward measure and not as complex as some of our other, I anticipate this would be much quicker and a faster turnaround, which we have committed to the homeowners that it would be between 4 and 6 weeks at the longest period of time. But
Is there going to be a big
push for this program?
So there's a follow-up question that was typed in. It's can't the homeowner assign the rebate to the contractor?
If the homeowner was indeed interested in assigning that, I mean, we at Santee Cooper would not be involved in that. That would just be something that they work out with you all, or really on our end, our rebates are paid and tied in our programs directly to all the to the customers. Excuse me. I can't speak for some of the agreements that maybe homeowners make with contractors on all of our other measures, but that may or may not be occurring, but I'm not really sure. But again, that would all be separated from our business process and where we're allocating our rebates.
Okay, so another question that was just typed in was, is there going to be a big push for this program, or will a customer just fall into it? So I guess just kind of, come across it not knowing really about the details of it.
Right. Currently, right now, we don't have anything scheduled, which is part of the reason we wanted to get everyone together and really gauge from you all that are actually installing this technology or interested in, brainstorming and coming with a plan that's both cost-effective but yet reaches out in a way. In the past, we've run bill stuffers, billboards. So we do a lot on social media, radio ads as well. The communication channels that are really most obvious are what we've really tackled. A lot of with cuts in our budget, we've looked a lot to social media, but we will be pushing a lot of this information in various series. We have bill stuffers already scheduled to go out. I don't have the calendar in front of me, but we have had one in the past go out for water heaters. So really a lot of the obvious is what we run. But if there's any recommendations or key channels that you all have found successful, we are more than willing to look at that and send that back to our corporate communications staff to have them follow up with it.
Okay, and another question that came in was, will Santee Cooper provide a plumber with literature to give the homeowners?
Literature is, just need to specify that a little bit more. What we have currently right now, really driven to the web. We do have the handout that hopefully everyone got for a kind of a quick reference guide that will basically give them, at a high level overview of the key points with this new install. But we have customer information that's put out on our web, and if they indeed want more information about this particular measure or all of our other programs, we can provide that for them as well. We have resource guides that we currently have out on the web and under our reduced use program. So for those that haven't been out there and leave today, we have a page dedicated for this measure in particular, along with our solar water heater rebate. And so familiarize yourself with that, and then if there's certain materials that you feel would be beneficial, we can look at having those printed or distributed as well.
So the follow-up comment on that and clarification is specific to like payback period info, like a ready, set, save brochure, tax credit info, those types of things.
Yeah, as far as savings and literature, like the payback example we have, a lot of our measures in the past we've had pushback from our legal department in setting that and setting the expectation of the homeowner, just because there are case-by-cases. But if it is something that we would look at, it would have to be individually customizing with any one of you all to say, really whether you're communicating to the homeowner or one of your other employees in your business, we can look at having something set up to customize. But as far as a mass production of payback, we typically in the past have not pushed that as far as a mass push to all of our customers because of legal pushback that we have, and as far as guaranteeing savings or guaranteeing payback.
Okay, well, I don't see, are there any other questions anyone has?
Hold on, we might have a question. Hold tight.
Are you going to be pushing the program bundles with other energy programs? I know you are submitting PhD and that. You can work this can be bundled in with, like, I don't know if they can speak in there, but power source.
We use Beacon Scores for those folks who want to use our loan resources. Now, that loan vehicle is not a requirement for any of our programs. It's just a resource so that it, quite often, especially with things like heat pumps and things like that, it's hard for people sometimes to, come out on the hip with $5-6 grand. The same is true in an issue like this. If they can see that they can finance this kind of a purchase and also have a reduced cost to operate and whatnot, then that is probably, that would be part of the marketing package.
I guess ultimately what I'm asking is if you have 3 or 4 different initiatives and a client elects to do 3 out of 4, they get a bonus rebate incentive. It's going to be
$100. Yeah. It's $100 incentive if they elect to do 2 or more of these initiatives. $200.
So it's your efficiency not feeling good.
Right. I kind of caught parts of it.
We're trying to push is rather than people assuming a single thing in terms of trying to address whatever kind of home efficiency agendas they may have. If we can get people to incorporate, 2 measures or 3 measures, for instance, a heat pump changeout and duct repair. Right. So we incentivize that also because everybody is bigger bang for these things.
Anybody have a question?
So you're showing us this, but you won't actually be putting that out in the literature.
Our legal department, they say, the less you say, the better. But there's also a certain intuitive connection here. If you've got something that can operate on 2,200 watts as opposed to 4,500 watts and meet your demand, then at about half the demand, electrical demand, that would convey about half the cost. So if whether we are ever going to put that in print, I don't know. That would be something more that the manufacturer would probably be willing to or more obliged to provide.
Hey, Kevin.
What's the line?
The question now is, what is the life expectancy of these heat pump water heaters?
Yeah, so I can answer that. The life expectancy of pretty much across the board of manufacturers is the same life expectancy as a standard electric tank. The warranty periods with each of the manufacturers, heat pump water heaters, differs a little bit, but the tank life expectancy, from what all the manufacturers have told me, is about 15 to 20 years. The part of the heat pump water heater that is going to experience the most wear and tear and likely need to be fixed or replaced a little bit sooner than that would be, of course, the heat pump itself. And the life expectancy of those is about 10 to 15 years. But those are more easily serviceable and wouldn't and can be replaced and worked on while connected to attached to the heat pump water heater itself.
Is there a particular brand they've had success with? You guys find it. Is it? You guys are I got one at home right now.
So the question is there a particular brand that we have had success with? So the programs that I have been involved in, I mean, we're very brand neutral in our approach. We have partnered with specific manufacturers on promotions across a specific region in the Northwest U.S. But you know, we've seen success with all of the brands. I mean, the big brands obviously are the GE GeoSprings, A.O. Smith, and all of its kind of co-branded brands. So like they kind of co-brand under the Kenmore State Reliance brand as well. And then the third big brand that we've been involved with is Air Generate, and they're a smaller manufacturer of a heat pump water heater.
Has been installing, it sounds like, in the Northwest. What's the history there? How many years has it been installing for?
The question here is how many years have they been installing the heat pump water heaters in the Northwest?
So our program's been around for about 3 years. We've seen a huge spike in installations and product movement within the last about year and a half. So I guess the beginning of last year is when we started to see a lot of installations, and that kind of coincided a lot with the efforts of utilities in the Northwest and our programs that we've been working on as well. Another brand too that is coming out with an updated model is Rheem. They're coming out with a new upgraded heat pump water heater.
I think a lot of trouble with the filters. I think most customers, when they install a water heater, they don't want to worry about it. And there's a lot of complaints, you know, when people have to go check the filter or clean the filter. It looked like from the screenshot.
So the question has to do with the filters on the heat pump water heaters and any complaints that customers have had about frequency of changing them. We haven't heard from a program standpoint about customers having problems with them. The filters on them aren't designed to need to be changed. They're just meant to be removed and either vacuumed off or rinsed off under like a faucet or blown out, I guess, with compressed air as well. So you don't have to actually purchase a replacement for those filters unless, of course, there is like a tear or something like that.
What's the cleaning frequency?
The frequency, so different manufacturers have obviously different requirements, but they range anywhere from once every 2 months to once every 2 years. So there's quite a big range in there depending upon the manufacturer. And the access points for those on the different heat pump water heaters are pretty simple to access. Some are just accessed via unclipping the filter itself. Others you have to actually have a screwdriver and unscrew a panel and then access the filter that way. There's a follow-up question, it looks like, with whether a clogged filter drives up the cost of equipment operation. Yeah, I mean, obviously the more blocked the filter becomes, the harder the heat pump has to work to generate heat and move that air. So that would, decrease the overall performance of the heat pump water heater. But across the board, all the manufacturers have stated that in their product testing, they have blocked their filters up to about 90% blockage, and there's only a minimal decrease in performance.
We're already a trade ally on this new we need to fill out this form.
The question is, if they are already a trade ally on the heat pump side of our rebate program, will they need to complete the trade ally participation agreement form for the water heater?
The participation agreement, or just the actual contract itself? Is that
the water heater trade ally application and agreement Herman has here today for us to hand out?
Right. If they're already signed up under our program, then they would not. That really what we're specifying there is until next year, we'll eventually, our goal is to move everyone under the same umbrella. However, with this being a later launch, we had to bridge the gap, so to speak, between the remainder of the year until next year. So if they are already signed up and actively participating and attended our annual meeting and covered, then we'll just need to note that. That way, when we set up online our list of trade allies that are certified to it or participate in our heat pump water heater, we can add them to that list as well. That way they show up on multiple lists.
Go ahead. If the customer calls, says, I want to be able to
the question is, will there be a list like we have for the heat pump dealers when a customer calls Santee Cooper and asks about getting a replaced water heater, being a heat pump water heater? Will they have a list that we will give out to customers with their names on it?
Yes, all those that sign up. We haven't specified an exact cutoff date yet. We'll probably extend this for a few weeks to see for those that couldn't make the presentation today about offering it again. However, everyone who is signed up will be specified as our certified installers for this program, and all of our referrals will be driven to that list, just like we do on the weatherization or HVAC side as well.
It'll be on the website.
And that's something that we've had some success with, is that within whatever organization they've participated in, someone who handles this kind of thing, they've got greater familiarity with it, and they understand the ins and outs of education, what's important to provide. That seems to really smooth the administrative side of it.
What's the next step?
The question is, what are the next steps that our trade allies sitting in the room who won't participate should be expecting?
Well, first and foremost, after this meeting, depending upon the schedule and how quickly, obviously getting signed up with our program to participate, to install heat pump water heaters is the first step, and then after that we'll be reaching out, and whether it be feedback we can gather today, communicating and brainstorming, marketing outreach that we want to pursue moving forward with. But essentially it's pretty straightforward. After today, or as quickly as those that are signed up, will begin adding those trade allies to the list, and they will be approved to begin, or right now currently obviously we had not had anything set up specifying, but there will be a cutoff where homeowners looking to install these water heaters will have to come from one of our approved lists. So and keep in mind, this is, not everyone in the room today may look at this and say this fits their model, or that whether it be insurance restrictions, but if there is something, we're willing to look into it. What we've come, we don't have much wiggle room as far as insurance restrictions, but if there's anything else, we can definitely work forward. But really the process, we were trying to eliminate really any barriers, and it hopefully will be pretty straightforward with everyone once they're signed up. And but as far as a cutoff, we have not determined a date yet. We want to give everyone adequate time and be fair and equitable to those that maybe had restrictions today and could not make it, and reach out to some of those that couldn't to make sure. before we do indeed implement a cutoff.
And is there an end date for the rebate?
All of our rebates run really from annually, but however ours are not at the very end of the year. All the projects need to be submitted. Applications need to be submitted by the end of October and installed by the middle of November. So November 15th really of each year is when the new program year starts. And currently, to date, we don't have any plans to cancel or have seen anything that would cause us immediately to cancel this program. So again, it's scheduled to run through the end of this year and continue to, for next year as well.
Are there any other questions?
And in the interest of keeping to the time commitment, because I know we have a couple presenters that are in 2 different time zones, and I don't know as far as meeting notices y'all have coming up. But if there are any other questions, please direct those to us, whether it be today or in the days to come. And as I specified, and we all we want this program to be as successful as possible. So your feedback is critical for us to really find the best channels. And just to explain just one example, a lot of times when we are involved in so much of the details and not really thinking outside and putting ourselves in our contractors' viewpoint, one of the things that came up last year is our promotions and our timing of our heat pump tune-ups. And so we've tried to work to adjust that to make sure we're not putting out materials and sending a message to homeowners in the middle of July when a lot of the contractors are overloaded. So as much feedback as we can have about finding the best channels or recommendations that you all may have, we're here to listen and help, and we want this to be successful not only for you all in your business and hoping to upsell those homeowners who are not looking at this advanced technology, but also help us save energy as well.
Great, and there was one more question that came through, Grayson, and that was, do contractors send the rebate paperwork to the energy advisors or the Energy Support Services Department in general?
That could really be in many different ways. Really, whatever works best for you all. I don't know. Obviously, the quickest path would be to avoid sending it in, to have a partner with an energy advisor maybe in your area where you're installing these, and they're all divided by service territory. So really having that faxed over or emailed and scanned over is a pretty quick process. And however, our energy advisors and our energy support services side can collect this information and put it into our database. So. Well, thank everyone for their time, and especially I want to thank Josh for working with our schedule and especially being across the country, and thank Jordan as well.
Oh, no problem. My pleasure.
All right. Thank everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grayson.
Bye.